last week, Chad Martin was here, an animator. He's here in the audience. And we had this particular discussion about the challenges of being from Hawaii or being native Hawaiian and pushing forward what art can look like within that particular context. And he said something quite amazing that I think is very, very smart. I don't want to break the boundary of what is Hawaiian, but I want to spend a lot of time pushing against that boundary. I've had the privilege of listening to Izik's new album for almost, can I say, 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. I've been listening to the album for the last 2 weeks and really spending a lot of time trying to understand the simple question of what is Hawaiian music? When we have that particular discussion, and the first thing I say to you, you obviously are going to get some images in your head. I probably call them out to you. It's going to be a trio. It's going to be matching aloha shirts. It's going to be in Hawaiian language. It's going to be the things that you readily identify. You laugh, but you all know that turn. You do the ending turn too. Do the ending turn of every Hawaiian song. Imua Garza, ladies and gentlemen. But what if Hawaiian music didn't have that? What does that sound like? What does music made here that doesn't sound like that actually is or isn't Hawaiian music? What is the context in which we can actually define that? Do we even need to define it? Is it impossible to do so? Does it have to have Hawaiian language? And if so, does that mean Kalapana and Cecilia Kapono are not Hawaiian music? Those sorts of things have been rattling my brain because it has to come from someone who, and people who are making music that is very much from the place that they live, from the place that we love, that informs what we're doing and the reason why we do it, but it doesn't fit into that nice little box that we kind of think about it when we talk about Hawaiian music. With that in mind, I get the privilege and the honor to introduce two artists who I've known and I've actually interviewed. We just had this discussion the other day. That music who I've been aware of, music who I've enjoyed, music who I've loved, and they get to perform here tonight for you. Ladies and gentlemen, playing the track SMTTC off of And Bougainvillea, Izik and Imua Garza, ladies and gentlemen.
Mahalo.
I used to think that it was done and over. Thought I was miles from your love. Thought I was brave and that I couldn't be touched. Thought I was safe. Thought I was free. But then the full moon caught my eyes, whispered to me all of the lies I thought were murdered and they were conquered, but now it's haunting me. Guess it all comes back to life. Screaming fears and shouting love, oh please just turn it down. I can't walk away, caught up to me. I'm tired and I'm weak and I know I should be brave. Thought I locked the door, it don't matter much, cause you shook me to the core. Now I've been busy building up these walls. Sky high, I've been lucky not to fall. But my legs are shaking and I'm nervous, so to make that climb back down. Now maybe I was foolish, maybe it was pride. Maybe I was running from the stardust in your eyes. I'm just saying, well, I'm sorry for the way I let it die. Oh. Said I'm tired and I'm weak, and I know I should be brave. Thought I locked the door, it don't matter much, 'cause you shook me to the core. Now, maybe I was foolish, maybe it was pride, maybe I was running from the stardust in your eyes. I'm just saying, well, I'm sorry for the way I let it die. Screaming fears and shouting love, oh please just set it down. I can't walk away caught up to me. Said I'm tired and I'm weak, and I know I should be brave. Thought I locked the door, it don't matter much. Screaming fears and shouting love, please just turn it down. I can't walk away caught up to me. Said I'm tired and I'm weak, and I know I should be brave. Thought I locked the door, it don't matter much, 'cause you shook me to the core.
Well, thank you, mahalo. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Izik and Imua Garza. With a round of applause, please.
Hey, thank you,
One
guys.
more time. So, let's start from the very beginning. I think for both of you, and I'd like to ask this, what is the album or music that got you singing? Because was it in the house? Was it an album that you heard specifically? What was the thing that sparked, that you heard and went, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life?
I'll start. Hi, everybody. My mom is my biggest influence, so I don't know if there's an actual like CD or record or cassette tape, something I throw in my Walkman. I'm sure that there are a lot of inspirational things, but I was being woken up every single morning by my mom singing and playing like the little organ and playing ukulele and just singing all day throughout the house. And I actually grew up in the mainland. I grew up from here, born here, and then I was raised in Texas and Utah for 9 years. And then I came back here 4th grade and was raised in Hawaii. But my mom would always sing Hawaiian songs and country songs. Not really like the Achy Breaky Heart kind of country, but the George Strait. And I think having my mom sing, and when there was parties at our house, there were Hawaiian parties, and a bunch of hula dancers would come, and she would just kani kapila, and there would be all my uncles and like guitar circles, and everyone would go, okay, Paige, whatever, or someone would just start a song, and they still do it. Like every once a month, we find a house to host, and just kani kapila. And so I was raised with music always around, and the joy that it brought, I think that's what I was most drawn to. That whenever someone brought out a guitar or sang, people got happy. And even if it's just background music, there's something about music that just kind of ties, and it's the universal language, right, that we all understand, no matter what language it is. If I just strum a chord, we all feel that, right? Yeah. So my mom. I have a lot of other influences, but that's the main reason why I wanted to like pursue bringing joy to people. Yeah.
What about you?
I think for me, I mean, not to like steal your answer, but maybe I think like when I think about the question, I think it's my grandma, because my grandma was the one that was always trying to make me play music. I think when she heard that I was that I wanted to sing. She always tried to make me play an instrument. So, and it was the same thing, like just seeing how much joy it always brought people. And yeah, I think my grandma for sure. But I mean, if we're talking about like a specific artist, it'd probably be something around the time of like, who sings that song Sassafras? You know what I'm talking about? Beasley. Del Beasley.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you guys know, anyone know that song? That's how I know if you're like, you grew up here for sure. Tell all the neighborhood boys, I'm the one making all the, no one knows it. All right. So anyways, it was around that time, like in the early 90s, my mom would listen to like the radio station and I'd always sing along. So I think once my grandma heard me singing, she always wanted to try and put a instrument in my hand and put me in the Honolulu Boys Choir and all that stuff. So I'll say my grandma and the local music of like the 90s, early 90s.
Is that just she kind of heard that song in you and said, okay, it's music, you do this, go?
No, I think it was something gradual for sure. I'm looking at my sisters to make sure this is all accurate.
Right, yeah.
Just get thumbs up or this.
Right.
Yeah.
Am I cool? Is this cool? Am I doing this? Is cool? So for you, it was the women in your life that brought song and it made that accessible.
Yeah, and then just the influence of grandmas too. Like my grandma was the one who kind of got me out of my shame because I was always just shy. My mom didn't even know I sang till she caught me in the room singing. and she's like, "You sing? You should start singing for the band that we was with." And because my mom was the lead singer for this band, OP Vickers, and it wasn't until later where we swapped, and then I started singing. But before, I didn't sing. Really? I was too shy.
You replaced your mom.
Yeah, but my grandma, we would like be in the mall, and then there was a guy playing ukulele, and she was the type, go show that man Kavika, the new song you just learned, all the Kyle Creative Way stuff. I'm like, no, you don't just go up to someone and just start playing. I'm like 9 at the time, and then she would bribe me by buying me an instrument. So she'd say, if you go there, I'll go to Kamaka right now, and we'll buy you a ukulele.
Wow.
I was getting bribed with plate lunches.
I said, any other songs you want to?
If you sing, I'll take you here after church to go eat.
But honestly, when I did that and I got out of my box and my shameness, that's when everything opened up for me because I really owe it to my grandma for always pushing me to play out and join these little cakey stars and little things to get me get used to people and playing music. But when I grabbed that guy's ukulele, so she asked, hey, can my grandson just show you something? I was like, oh, here we go. Kamaka. And so I played something, and then there was a record producer that walked by, and he was actually and this is at Pearl Ridge, and he was actually working on this album called Ukulele Stylings 2. And I used to always listen to Ukulele Stylings 1. I didn't know that there was a 2. But the concept of the album was hidden treasures, people that nobody knows. And so because he found me at the mall playing in the corner with this guy, he's like, wow, your grandson's pretty good. I'm doing this album. And then that was my first experience to studio and recording. And so my grandma set it all up, and that was my first gig. And
she was managing.
My brother and I played, and then we toured the Borders. I don't know if you guys remember when someone came out with an album, you go to Borders, you go to Tower Records. Yeah. You can pay $10,000 and be in the the little light box.
Yep.
Times are changed now. But that was what opened my eyes. They mic'd my ukulele. I heard it through the speakers, and that really got me wow, I want to do this one day. Or I knew once when I was 9 at that moment that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and so I'm still doing it.
There you go.
Thanks, Grandma.
Is that, then when did the transition happen? I think when we listen to the album specifically, there's, outside of maybe just traditional instrumentation, and that's going to be through the guitar, there's very little, I would say, identifiably Hawaiian music in it. And what I mean by that is it's not a traditional Hawaiian music album in that kind of a way. And when did sonics outside of that? I know you mentioned 90s R&B, which is what I fell in love with. Aaliyah is still my paragon. But what was that also encouraged, that sort of secular non-Hawaiian music in the house? I know you mentioned country as well, but the influences seem much wider than just what Hawaiian music could be, and you could hear it in the album as well. What was that for you?
I think, yeah, I don't know. As far as like not trying to make the music Hawaiian, but I feel like I always wanted to hear like my story and my experience being told in those soundscapes. So like when I hear Solange, or if I hear like Sam Smith, or if I hear like Blood Orange and all these guys that I love listening to, they're making music that's outside of Hawaii, but they're telling their stories from where they're from with synths and with just futuristic sounding things, you know? So I'm inspired by that. So I was like, I want to make my music that way, but telling it in my own way, like, and having Hawaiian form it. So like in nostalgia, the thing that I'm chanting in the back is peva, which is a concept that I was introduced to from Mano'ola, talking about how like that was used to like repair fish hooks. So he has a pattern that actually was made that, but he used that pattern to kind of channel that healing energy. And so I put that in there because one day I just kept hearing that over and over in my head. And that was like helping me kind of get up out of bed and like move forward with my life when I was feeling kind of low. So there's a whole bunch of that in the music through the lyrics. I didn't know how to, I think on the first album, when we recorded Rocks, we had an ipu in there, and like he played the ipu and then like reversed it to kind of mask that it was an ipu. Yeah. But then we didn't go with that version. But yeah, no, I'm always trying to find ways to be innovative and to be pioneering with, whether it's like Hawaiian concepts, like just that the way of thinking, and trying to put that. The easiest way for me is to sneak it into the lyrics, and then Imua Imua is the one that brings all the songs to life. Like I come to him with the song and the lyric and the melody.
But I need the songs of life to bring it to life first. So
we're just gonna sit here and throw compliments back and forth to each other. That's all this is gonna be.
How awesome you are!
So, I mean, there's a span of time of 3 years between Obsidian to Bougainvillea, and I think as a producer and artist goes, how do you maintain that through line between the music? Because you're working on 2 songs, and then 4 months goes by, and then you have to, you've worked with other artists in that period of time. You're obviously performing. Like, how do you come back to that? How do you find that through line of, oh yeah, we're gonna do an 8-minute long Jupiter Aroma song and just make it this epic song, but then we're also going to go and do something like the in-between, which are sonically different and one is, I contend that the vocal stabs in the in-between sounds like the keyboard stabs in the B3 figure style, and that how do you come back to that byline artistically after working on other stuff or doing other things? How, you just hang out together for a couple hours and like, oh, that's what we're trying to do? Or?
Yeah, there's definitely, because you wanna be cohesive with the album. When you hear something, it takes you on a journey. So, but I want a journey. So for some of these albums, like with Izik, he's so awesome and he's so creative. And if you've ever seen any of his shows, the amount of thought that goes into the production line of everything, having TVs and wardrobe changes and things, I think the album needs to be like his live show, and all of the details that go into it. So when someone's listening to it, it's not just like a roller coaster that's just like this. There's gonna be all these, like you want to take someone on a journey. When you go to Six Flags, or you want to go on the awesome roller coaster that's gonna make you cry and that's gonna bring you to a low, like, ooh, that was dark, and then shoot you back up. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of different styles on this new record, and exploring new sounds, finding ways to put like the jungle sounds and then making that into a beat, and then throwing koki frogs, just trying to put Hawaiian elements too. And just to semi go back to the Hawaiian part of it, I'm actually almost half Hawaiian, even though I don't look like it. Okay. But and my brother and sister live Homestead, and I'm about to live Homestead, Bombay. My mama says Papakale Roosevelt Bulldogs. Anywho, I love there's so much music and so many great artists here that are so creative, and I don't want them to have to move to the mainland to have to make music. Being from here and being rooted and our Hawaiian values and everything that we stand for, So I love making music with people from Hawaii. I do work with people from the mainland and they come in, but then there's something about bringing the music here. And even when I send it to friends from the mainland, they're like, wow, it's got it's interesting. It's got like Hawaiian feel. We're like, well, we weren't going for that. I think just us as Hawaiians and me being woken up by aloha kakahiaka, that has something to do with that R&B and a lot of the influences that Izik have. So when we go into a song, and we're like, okay, day one, here's this next song that we're gonna start. We usually the process kind of looks like, okay, Izik, do you have any ideas already? And so he might have like a garage band thing, or maybe he went with Evan, or just kind of put down some ideas, or have a lion roar, or just interesting things. And here's the idea, and then we just want to take it from there. And here's my inspirations and my we call it references. So if we throw up a Solange track, or I just have a whole folder of Izik's songs that he's listening to currently. And so I'll just kind of study those. I'm listening for productions, and I'm just taking little bits and pieces, like if it's all on a palm tree because we're from Hawaii, and then just taking it and then making like a cook and a chef, and then we just say, hey, how do you like this? Oh, it needs a little bit more salt. Okay. So it's a whole, I love the whole creative process of just starting from scratch. Here's clay, just like this art, and here's what we can make.
That takes a lot of trust in a producer because it's your name on it. And I don't mean to diminish the role of producer because, a producer can direct.
And everything I do is thinking about Izik.
Right.
Like in the moment, and for the 6 months or 5 years or however long it took for this record. And it's not like 5 years every single day. It's like, months of breaks. So it doesn't take that long. If we were to all consecutively just record, it would take a couple months. Right. Then we'd be done. But I'm constantly thinking of the artist. I actually record artists like every 2 hours throughout the day from morning to night. So I have to constantly shift my brain and my wavelength of, okay, now what style? Is this like a rock song? Is this R&B? So I have to really quick shift. And when I see Izik's face, as soon as he walks into the studio, I know, okay, I'm on Izik's project. So now I have, right there, my little blink has to go through all the references that he has. So as we're creating this album, making something creative, making something that people want to listen to, or it's like, well, or maybe they have to play it again. What was that? What was that noise? What was that sound?
Do you, as an artist walking going into the studio and walking into producer situation, do you come with an agenda of what you want to create, or are you going to be collaborative in that process? Because I would imagine, we'll go back to the in-between again. It's like, we're going to make a song entirely with operatic vocals, and it's going to be vocal driven with a small beat, and make it happen. How does that come about? How does that work for you from the artist perspective?
From the artist perspective, you have to walk in with a vision, and that way that you can, he's essentially at the helm of the ship, right? So he's basically does all the crazy smart work, and I'm just whispering in his ear like, turn left. You know what I mean? Like, so it's stuff like that, because I before my first album did not have any experience recording in the studio. So I came in and I'm using all this like flowery language and trying to be as descriptive as possible, and that's just naturally who I am. I'm very like descriptive and kind of dumb.
I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces.
You're not dumb, but I mean, like,
yeah.
I don't know the right words to explain to Imua what I want, so I have to show him examples, or I have to detail it a different way. So like for a song like the In-Between, like it is very important to walk in as an artist with a vision. So for the In-Between, I knew that that song was recorded. I mean, I wrote the song. I was half awake and half asleep, so that's why I called it the In-Between. And I got the melody from my dreams, and then I got the lyrics from a poem that I wrote. And I just went downstairs and I like picked the chords on the guitar, tried to figure it out based off of what I was hearing in my head. And then after I put the two things together, I knew that I wanted something timeless because of the content of the song. And when I think about timeless, and when I think about things that are timeless that came from Hawaii, I think about things like Jack DeMello, like The Treasures of Hawaii. That whole album was orchestral, and it had beautiful opera vocals and but it was all Hawaiian songs. And then I was really inspired by Laura Muvula. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she re-recorded her first album in Abbey Road Studios. And it was all orchestra. And to me, like, that orchestra operatic sound is timeless. And like, no matter what time period you're listening to, it's gonna sound great. And it still applies to that present moment. And so when I walked in the studio, I told Imua that this is what I wanted. I wanted strings, I wanted the harp in the beginning. I knew the elements that I wanted, and I had the chords and all that stuff. And then Imua just hears all of that and then brings it all to life by then. And then we get people like Keilana who comes in and lays down her operatic vocals in the background. And
That was kind of a last minute thing, right?
totally.
Because we had the song and it was pretty much done, like just solo vocal, and then all of a sudden, so, oh, by the way, we're gonna record Keilana today, and then she comes in,
And
I was like, this is awesome. Yeah,
honestly, the song works because of the vocals.
yeah.
Like, it just... do you want to play this song for us now?
Do we have? Oh, yeah. I was going to say, do we have it? But yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to play a snippet with
We could
the
play a
vocals?
snippet of it, yeah.
Do we have a snippet of this? Give us one moment. We're going to put this technical stuff.
Maybe we'll just play from the middle.
Of course. Exactly. We want to illustrate the difference between what's on the album when it gets performed, because artists have to arrange that, and sonically you have to listen to what is produced and then what they perform, because then you get to hear both ideas happen at the same time. So this is going to be the in-between, and it's track 4 on the album. Sorry, I've been listening to the album repeatedly for weeks. The middle?
Just like go towards the end,
Yeah.
or like 3/4 of the
Yeah.
way somewhere. Maybe a little bit before this.
Crawl towards the valleys, the peaks that I've climbed, a precipice learning to walk. Bodies of water spoke to me in waves, reflections of tears and of crying. Into the mind, into the eyes, into the light, into the prism that brought us to life. Holding the hands that stretch out across time, I'm never afraid or alone. I embrace solace when it comes to my dreams. It keeps me anchored here, the in-between. Oh,
The female vocalist is Keilana Mukulehua, right? And she just dropped a single as well.
Yes, she just dropped a single on the 20th. It's called Scared. So if you guys like me, you're going to love her as well. Imua also produced all of her stuff. And yeah, that's all the background vocal parts are all her. She went in the studio, her and Imua just were back and forth, and just a whole
I almost
celestial
wish I
choir.
could show you some of the process. Like maybe I should have next time just set up the screen and like mirror it so that you can see kind of what's happening. Because when the reason why her vocals sound like a huge opera choir is I just record over and over and over. So I'll take, and we have the stereo field, which is just left and right, right? So instead of just hearing a mono signal, which is right in the middle, we hear like the space the in between. And so I'll have her sing one part, and then I'll have her sing it again, and then I'll push both vocals all the way at the end, and then that's what makes it sound really wide. And then maybe I'll do that 2 more times, and then just, okay, here's the next harmony. And then we'll just go back, boom, 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 boom. And then by the end, there's like 1,000 tracks. But nobody's seeing the tracks. They're just hearing it, right? So you're just trying to create a moment, darling.
The moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it live. The in-between, ladies and gentlemen.
Who couldn't say it was magical? I held on to breath for so long. Tightrope imagined I balanced so well, holding the symbols of fire. Into the mind, into the eyes, into the light, into the prism that brought me to life. We traveled far to the ends of the world, searching for souls to call. Soft velvet kisses spun into the blood, sugar that kept us placated. Into the mind, into the eyes, into the light, into the prism that brought us to life, holding the hands that stretch out across time. I'm never afraid or alone. I embrace solace when it comes to my dreams. It keeps me anchored here, the in-between, in the in-between, in the in-between. Crawl towards the fire, leaves the peaks that I've climbed, a precipice learning to walk. Bodies of water spoke to me in waves, reflections of tears that I've cried. Into the mind, into the eyes, into the light, into the prism that brought us to life,
Thank you, guys.
That's one of my favorites from the album.
Thank you.
I literally don't have a question that's worth after. Like, we can come after that song. We mentioned production and sort of the sonic musical quality that Imua brings, but I wanted to kind of transition gears to talk about the lyrical content. And as a writer, you're a bit more trusting in Imua's approach as far as the sonic palette that you're going to be bringing, and here's my references, but the songwriting, the lyrics that actually you're expressing out into the world. You said it came from a poem and it came from coming out of that dream, but what is, for you, what is a writing process like? What is that? 3 years, the songs obviously take different meanings, but for you, what does that look like from inception to completion? What are you expressing and things like that?
A lot of my writing starts off, like, well, I mean, it's different. It's not always going to be the same. Sometimes it comes from dreams, like if I'm in that place of like being half awake and half asleep, sometimes there's a melody in there, and then if I'm awake enough, I can pull it from the dream, but if I'm too asleep, it just gets lost. And then sometimes I'll just hear something while I'm driving. A lot of the times it happens when I'm driving, sitting in traffic, taking long drives, like, because I live in Kapolei and I always have to gig in Waikiki. So whenever I have to take those drives and sit in traffic, I play lo-fi beats on my phone from like Spotify or something, and I'll just sing along to that and write a song about anything. And then, so there's that way it happens. And then sometimes I'll just sit down on my guitar and play a few chords, and then it's a lot of mumbling at first, and then I'll record the mumbling and then try to figure out what those mumbles sound like, and then I'll think about something that I want to speak about, and then turn the melody into something that I'm trying to say and speak. And then sometimes it's just creating a GarageBand loop with a bunch of the banks that it has, or the loops that it has in the banks on GarageBand or Logic, and then I'll just throw a bunch of loops on there and then make my own beat. So like Nostalgia was one of those where I just made my own. And then sometimes I'll be at Monkey Pod or at my gigs, and I'm bored of singing everyone else's songs. So I'll just play 3 or 4 chords, which is how Jupiter Aroma was written. It was written over a month. It's a month of freestyles that I just recorded while I was at the gig and then compiled it into one song. So I had Ekwana Ravi. We used to do a lot of gigs together before he moved up to LA, and we got sick of playing everyone else's songs. So I told him, give me a bass line to these 3 chords, and then I'm going to do this pass in the middle and just make like this 8-minute long song. And at the gigs, it was like 14 minutes. So whatever, we got paid. So, but and that's the thing too, is that like when you're freestyling at a gig like that, there's this pressure to make it sound like somebody else's song. So these words come out because you're trying not to mess up and give it away that you're freestyling. So you actually get a song out of that pressure. I didn't realize that I could do that, and so now I kind of just do that all the time, and I have all these little like songs that are like little seeds that I can just grow into like full actual songs. And
you're doing that extemporaneously in front of people as you're performing.
You should do it now. You should do it now.
Okay.
I was not going to put you under that kind of pressure.
No,
but to be honest, when we did on the album, there's a song that says B3 interlude, and that is just a snippet. But him and we should put that on the little USB. We have a full version of us just freestyling.
It's 2 of them, 2 of those songs.
I kind of inherited this. You guys know what a B3 is? It's not a B, but it's like a B, an organ from like the 60s where they have the drawbars and then a Leslie cabinet. Okay, so it's kind of 1963 around there. And you hear it a lot, just like the reggae bubble. But to have a legit one, I kind of recently got it in the studio. And I was like, oh, Izik, look, have you ever heard of this before? And he's like, oh, I like that. Can you just set up a mic and we just like freestyle?
Yeah, we were supposed to record, and I was like, I don't want to record a song. I just want to freestyle.
How long we just did it for like 20 minutes?
16, 20 minutes, yeah.
Oh, that would have outdone Jupiter
But wait,
Aroma.
hold on, wait. The best part about this B3 is that it was Shaka Khan's B3. It's like she used it on tour, and her set
list is still pasted on the back.
So I was like, record that. We're putting it on my album immediately. I want that. Yeah. Give that to me.
So it was just him and I in the room playing, and then we just took a little snippet and made it as an interlude. But he was just freestyling for like 20 minutes. I was like freestyling on the music, but lyrically he was just going. And then I have these little lights in my studio where you can make it
moody lights.
Mood lights. You can make it all kinds of different colors.
And the name of your studio?
Zale Music.
There you go.
Yeah, Zale Music is my label and also the studio. And Izik is one of the artists under the label.
Hey.
Yes.
That's me, by the way.
Yes.
The reason I asked this is because I mentioned it very quickly outside, but listening to the album sort of incessantly and trying to really get to what is being communicated, there's these recurring themes of, you hear it in recreation, that sort of excitement, at least in my interpretation of someone sort of creating that want of creation in you, and obviously being a very sexual energy, obviously.
Interesting.
Well, that's me.
No, I love that. I love to hear other people's
Right.
interpretations of what they think the song's about.
Right, and it could be totally wrong, but one of the things that what caught me off guard in all the content was I was looking for who you were singing about, and it never came up. There was never anyone or, to illustrate.
Except Meeks.
Exactly.
Meeks.
Exactly,
Sorry.
that came up, and I was like, who the is that? But there was no, you knew you were singing about something or someone, but the object was never truly in focus. And I wanted to ask, when you're writing or when the songs are coming from, was that intentional? Because in my very androcentric viewpoint of songwriting, I wanted to hear about who you were singing about, and regardless of who that person was, female, male, whatever, I wanted to hear that, and then I got really mad at myself, because it's like, that is not my place to demarcate what this singer needs to be communicating. So I wanted to give what you were doing in those lyrics and who you were singing to.
I mean, I don't consciously try to do that. I think I think maybe there was a point in my life where I was trying to do that, and just to kind of get those feelings out without having to say who they were about. So I kind of did keep gender out of it. It's not like a thing that I consciously do though, as an artist. It comes out of me that way, and I think in that way my music's able to kind of reach a broader range of people, and I'll stop there because I'm just gonna ramble.
No, but that's important, because I think in that rambling comes the idea that you're wrestling with. Because if you knew what the idea was, you'd write the song, put it to wax, and walk away from it. Yeah. To me, the thing that was really telling was the fact that in Jupiter Aroma, you took 8 minutes and you hear 4 different Iziks. You hear the patois Izik, you hear you telling everyone I can go back to my guitar if I want to. But all of this sonic sort of, even in Insomniac's Lullaby, at least from my perspective, it sounded like you couldn't go to sleep because the person you wanted to sleep next to wasn't there. And you were trying to put yourself to sleep through singing about
I'm just going to have you do a whole podcast of what you thought my songs were
sound
about.
like to this guy.
I like that, though. I love that.
But no, at least in my interpretation, and I wanted to kind of get into that process. And it could be you don't know, and that's totally fine.
I actually probably don't know. Yeah, because a song like Insomniac's Lullaby, it was written, I wrote that song about 10, 11, maybe even 15 years ago. I wrote that when I was really young, and it came from 3 different dreams. 1, 2, 3, 4 different dreams, and it's just the imagery from that dream. So if you actually look at the lyrics, I don't think they make sense, but they sounded good and they looked good in my dreams. So I put it in there, and then the chorus is kind of something that I wanted to thread it all together, and so it's not necessarily that I'm trying to exclude or include a person. That's just kind of how I write. I want to make my songs as universal as possible and reach as many people as possible.
And that makes sense as to why.
Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes when I hear a song about a guy singing to a girl, sometimes it's hard for me to connect to that, because I don't know what that's like. Or, and it's easier for me to, that's why I feel like I'm drawn more to a lot of female singers when they're telling their stories. But for me, my songwriting has always been out of a necessity to speak my own truth and hear my own story being told to me. So when I would record on that little Olympus recorder that I had in the very beginning, when I would play it back to myself, it didn't feel like it was me singing. Felt like it was somebody else singing to me my story. And in a way I was able to be there for myself through that.
Is that the sign of the song that you have the idea for the song is a good one? When you go back and listen to it and it doesn't sound like you singing back to yourself?
You know, I think the sign, if I think the sign for me when I know I've wrote something that might be, that other people might find interesting is when I can listen to it over and over and fall asleep. And that's for me, that's the sign. Like, cause I'll listen to, there's some songs where I'll play it and I'll write it and then I'll play it back. I'm like, oh, that was such a good song. And I'll listen, that was trash. Delete that immediately. So yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a sign for me is when I'm able to listen to it over and over again, and then it puts me to sleep. Just these lulls that take me away.
And you're not frustrated by it. You're not.
Yeah. And I think that's the other sign too, is that like when I can listen to it over and over, and it's not just done after one digestion. Is that a thing? Can I say that?
You're an artist. You can say that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that you have to keep consuming over and over again, where it's not like candy where you eat it and it's done and you're like, oh, that was too sweet. I don't want to ever have that again. Everything's about food to me, by the way. So
good. No, I some of the best love songs are about food. I think, but consumption is going to be interesting because as an artist in contemporary times, streaming your music is going to be very easy. I can just immediately stream it, I can listen to the song, and that's the one time I consume it. I don't have to come back to it. And to make something that is that earworm where you're like, shit, what is it? Let me go back and sing that. For me, being someone who's tone deaf, when I listen to an album and I start singing, even though I don't know how the song goes, that's immediately the indication that is a good song for me, because then I know, one, I forget I can't sing, and two, the song comes out of me. So that was my experience with the album a lot. Like
the way I find, like, if a song's gonna be good for a long time, it's always when I hate it first. Really? I hated Frank Ocean's Blonde album, and I hated Solange's the second one that she released recently. I hated those two albums, but I will listen to those albums all the time now, because I didn't like it at first. So I just kept forcing myself to listen to it, and I'm like, oh wait, you have to like really take the time to listen to those types of songs. And so that's why when it's other people's music, if I don't like it immediately, I'm like, I'll probably end up just being obsessed with this after a while.
You just become obsessed with why don't you like it?
Yeah, well, I mean, also it's Frank Ocean and Solange, so I'm just
When you first heard your album, did you like your album? Or
threw it away, threw it in the fire. Trash. Oh, I love it now.
Now you like it, yeah. You regurgitated it.
Exactly.
There's some albums like that for me, and then other stuff I just hate more intensely because you hear it so much. You're like, this is awful. This is never going to be good ever.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone tells me. Oh, sorry. The other thing I want to come to, and something that's really great, is the album cover and the art for the album. One, amazing, and two, is classically Hawaiian music, because you're wearing a lei, you're looking to the right, and it has pastel colors.
Yes, that was all intentional, darling.
I have a theory that every Hawaiian music album, someone's wearing a lace, they're looking to the right, and they have pastel colors inside of the design. Prove me wrong. But the album itself, what was great about the art was, shout out to Kim Selbek.
Kim Selbek did the artwork.
She did the artwork. Round of applause.
That's her right there. Please stand real quick. Just wave so everyone knows.
Princess Whip. There we
she
go.
Is. No, so she designed all the artwork. This ampersand behind me, and then Calvin Kana, he took the photos of me. What were you gonna ask? Sorry. Sorry.
No. I don't want. This is not a diss, but I mean this genuinely. How non-masculine that photo is.
Yeah.
Like the tea leaf lei looks like a leather choker. You have this brilliantly blonde, pink hair rather, and you look completely in control, but non-masculine, which I wanted to ask if that was something that you intended to be.
Absolutely. I think that I spent so much of my life trying to run from those qualities, and I think that I'm finally in this place where like I'm slowly starting to accept myself for my appearance, for everything that I am. And so those things that that I tried to run away from in the beginning of my life, I've learned to love because of how unique that they make me, and that uniqueness is the thing that has been attracting people to me, and not just people, but the right people to me. And so I wanted to honor that on my album cover, and I think that with the space that Imua was able to give me in the music, I wanted to create an icon for the music that was equally inviting and equally unique and to myself as an artist at this point in my life. And so that's why I went to Kim, because when we went to Japan together, and at that point I kind of had a vision of what I wanted. I knew I wanted to collaborate with an artist on my album artwork. I didn't know what I wanted just yet. And then I saw Kim's stuff in Japan when we spent 2 weeks together in Japan, and I was just like, what is this? I love all of this. And then she actually had designed a flyer for me when I opened for Thundercat a while ago. And me and Jen, my manager here, we loved that flyer. We were just like, what? She turned you into a cartoon? Like, that's crazy. And it was like so spot on. But not only that, like, it was from a random YouTube video that she picked. It wasn't just from a picture that she found on Instagram of me. It was like, it just felt very special. And so when I realized that she was the same person, because I'm dumb, I flipped out. And then she had all these blue tigers, and me and my mom were tigers. So I was like, this is a sign. I know this is a sign. So at the end of the trip, I was like, so you're going to design my album cover, right? And she's like, yes, totally. So yeah, it was important to me to work with somebody that I could trust. And throughout the 2 weeks that we spent in Japan, we forged a really, really close bond and friendship. And so I trusted her with that. And so I gave her my music, and she traveled Europe with my music. And initially I had an idea of what I wanted. I wanted to kind of bring in different types of Hawaiian plants. And I was actually trying to release my album on October 11th, which is the Uluhai Malama, the garden that Queen Liliuokalani had. That was the day that they opened the garden, or that her followers had planted the plants in that garden. And so I wanted to pay homage to that in that way. And I just loved all the kauna behind, like, why she planted certain things in that garden. She planted the kukui there to illuminate the government. And it was just all these things that I loved. And I loved the symbolism. I'm all about symbolism. So I initially gave Kim like a whole list of things that I wanted. And then she came back to me. She's like, so I went a little off script. Tell me how you feel about this. But it was because she said that she wanted to do something that she felt where she was inspired by the music after she had listened to it. And I was like, and I love that when artists do that, when I collaborate with another artist and they have their own vision. Because I hate telling people what to do. I don't like when people tell me what to do. So like, if I'm collaborating with an artist, I want you to be you. And collaborating means that we're sharing with each other. It's not me trying to mold you into something, you know? And so I appreciated that so much. So when she came back to me with all of that, I was like, yeah, that's it. So I was stoked on it. That's what it was.
People here work with you, so you have to stand by that. You're good at collaborating. Statement.
Sure.
Is in that imagery that, especially in the album, but to back up a point, that Thundercat show is incredibly important. One, because I remember seeing that flyer, and it was the first time I saw Izik perform. So it was the first time I actually spoke to you, was after the show in the lounge underneath. And that was really important, because I remember seeing that same flyer and going, this fucking flyer is so rad. It was so cool. Sorry. It just was it's like, this flyer looks amazing. And that was, how long ago? That was
2016, 17.
Okay. So that was in the recording process for this album.
Yeah, well, we started, I say 3 years because it was 2016, but I feel like it was the end of 2016. We recorded Strawberry Moon first. And then there were a lot of gaps in between because I was traveling a lot. And Imua got really, really busy with things. And so it took 3 years because of the schedule conflicts. Yeah, it wasn't that I was creating some masterpieces and it's just taking so much time.
There's not some lost album someplace that was deleted? Okay.
There's only 10 songs on the album too, so I got to write more because I ran out.
It's like, there's one track less than the first one. What's going on here?
It's getting less and less. It's going to be an EP by the third album.
Not good. That's just do 8 songs. What's that border to get paid for a full length? Is 8 songs, I think?
Probably no more than me. I don't know.
It's something I want to bring up as well. Like, we talked about just that comfortability speaking your truth and presenting that truth. But the Izik that I saw on stage for that show, even the artwork for Obsidian and the Izik that's in front of us now, aesthetically is completely different. Is that sort of that presentation and confidence part of how you're presenting yourself in that way, both through fashion and things like that? And I'm going to bring up the commitment of school uniform at the Hoke.
The Hoke was this year. The fringe.
I love that fringe.
Yeah.
But again, that's part of that whole confidence part, right?
Yeah, no. Well, I'm also just so comfortable with constantly evolving in front of people. In the beginning, it was kind of just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't know if they'll like that. They're going to think I'm stupid. They're all going to laugh. So I'll just say, no, I won't do that. But then I just got really comfortable in expressing myself through my appearance and like completely through my art. So even with the album covers and my shows and the stage, it's just all about me feeling more and more comfortable with my own evolution. And so with my fashion, like the stuff that I choose to wear, it is like, it's very flamboyant and it's colorful and there's a lot of flair to it. But and I would hate for people to think that it's a vanity thing, because I think as an artist, what I'm really trying to do with my fashion is I'm really, really asking and encouraging the audience to look past my physical form and really hear my music for what it is. So, and I think that that's a power of singing and music and all of that, is that like you really get to see the artist's soul, because when you're truly observing them in their craft and in that moment, you're activating all these other senses and it's bringing together pieces of this person's soul, and you're able to just actually see it in its entirety past the physical form. So when I'm wearing like a fringe outfit like that, when I'm wearing stuff like this that's just bright and colorful, when I'm on my album cover with my rough skin and makeup and pink hair, no shirt, no body, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying that like, this is me completely. It doesn't matter what I look like. I'm asking you to look past that and listen to my stuff and listen to my music and my words. And so that's what I'm really trying to do with when I show up to a place. Because, you know, normally, like, if I was sitting in the audience listening to an artist talk here, I would be in jeans and a t-shirt, and that's it.
I've seen him do it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. But when I'm on stage in front of people, I think it's my responsibility to encourage people to look past that. And so, like, this is kind of like a thing to be like, ugh, what is that? But really question why that's your reaction. And then once you can get past that, listen to what the person's saying. And I think that in our everyday lives, I want that to be a thing. I want that to be a thing for everybody, where you don't have that reaction. And it's just, I'm going to listen to this person just based off of their energy, based off of their soul, and try to activate other senses as opposed to just my sight.
Do you run the risk of alienating people that way?
Probably, but I don't care. I mean, I think, okay, I shouldn't say I don't care. I think initially I probably do care, because I think I spent so much of my childhood and my teenage life searching and yearning for everyone's opinion and affection and acceptance. So I've had to train myself to think that all doesn't matter. And so maybe it does alienate people, but I think that, like I said, it attracts the right people. And that's all I'm concerned about in this life. I mean, I look at all the people that I'm surrounded by now, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good with learning how to put that out of my mind, because I look at all the people that are around me, and I'm surrounded by giants, like just great, great people.
Then what grounds you as artists? Because I think for you, having either sonically to go explore, to say, okay, let's just see where this idea goes, whether it be through what I'm wearing or what music you're putting out, or just being able to go from a new artist every 2 hours. It's very easy to kind of lose your sort of sense of identity or your North Star in that regard. So for the both of you, what grounds you in that creative process to be brave enough to go follow those tributaries where they go and still come back to that, so you don't completely lose your way in that sort of chasing the muse?
I mean, just the foundation of how I grew up, and like musically where I am, and being in like comfortable areas too, and like, okay, this is my sweet spot, and I don't know if I'm answering this correctly, but just being musically in a spot that's comfortable, and then getting uncomfortable so I can grow, and then coming back a little bit, kind of like jazz, where you just kind of go out of the box a little bit. You're just playing regular, and then you go. You know, you just
Let me just rip this out real
kinda
quick.
play it.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
You stay somewhere, and then you got to challenge yourself, and I think that's how you grow the most. And there's always going to be the foundation of how I was raised and the values that's like instilled in me, and also just musically how the discipline of practicing and songwriting and like reading lyric books of all the Beatles songs, learning all the Beatles songs, like finding songwriters that are great. Like when you have that as your kind of baseline of you understand music and you understand why do people love this song, why do people love this band, you kind of take all these little pieces from it and then you create it your own way. So I'll learn something exactly, just verbatim on the guitar, like if I'm learning solos or something, and then I might take a little snippet from there and then like reverse it or put it in a different order, change the timing of it. So it's all these influences. And I used to listen to, like, I'm genre-wise a chameleon, because if you look at my Spotify list, there's like all different genres all over the place. I used to fall asleep to like heavy metal music growing up because I love double kick, like, and then there was like a full-on thug music and like just R&B, a whole like Whitney Houston phase, and just all this music just pulling you. But then
Whitney Houston was a phase for you?
For some
I
of
mean,
us,
What does that
Isaac
even
was-
mean?
it's a
was
life
phase.
phase. It means there were times where I listened to certain artists more than other artists, but I'm constantly jumping around. So I think if that answers the question, just like having that basis of the foundation of just how I was raised, how musically I disciplined myself, and then challenge myself to grow by learning different styles. If I only did island reggae my whole life, which I did most of my life, then I would get really good at it, but then I wouldn't be able to venture out like and try different projects. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted Izik to, because I said, do you record? Like, do you have any recordings of anything? It's like, oh, I just have like little garage band stuff, but I really wanted to see his music come to life, and I wanted to challenge myself to try to find a way to partner and collaborate with you musically. And even the first song we did, it might have taken us a few different versions because we're just trying to, oh, hi, I'm Izik, hi, I'm Imua. Just the meet and greet. Okay, what can you do musically? What can you do lyrically? What is the range of your voice? And we're just discovering something, and we're making this fire that's just coming out. And creating with our foundations and then growing.
I think for me, like my foundation for like being grounded, it has to be like being comfortable with change, like what you were saying, like always changing on, and like I also think that it's just not being ashamed of what I like, and so that's where that stuff keeps me grounded. Is like I used to be very ashamed of loving Britney Spears. Like I love Britney Spears, and
Why would you be ashamed to love Britney Spears? Why would you be ashamed to love Britney
Listen,
Spears?
I got made fun of a lot. For Britney Spears. There was a whole bus of kids that laughed at me in high school. So, yeah, see, she's iconic. I don't care. And now I don't care, right? But in the beginning,
right.
I was very like ashamed. And so, I think that's the thing, is just like knowing what makes you you and makes you unique, and the things that you love, and just running with it, like, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So that's the thing that always keeps me grounded. And also that all of this is temporary. Like, we're going to move on to something else after this life. And so why not spend the time doing fun, beautiful things with fun, beautiful people? And so that's the stuff that really makes me comfortable and keeps me grounded, and never I'm trying not to like emulate other people, because I try not to do that too much, but I know
You're
sometimes
influenced
by them, but yeah.
And if
also
you're,
just
if you're
love.
also going with this grounded sense of, not like go to your room, you're grounded, but humble, like humbleness. And I think that's, especially Hawaii, we got to be humble.
Yeah.
When people are just name dropping and building themselves up, I feel like the best way that you can have longevity in your career is when other people talk about you and kind of the things that you're doing. There's definitely promotion, like this is coming out, this is something that we worked on, we're very proud of it. But when the name Imua Garza comes up in someone's brain, it's very, it holds a lot of value to me to not have my name ran through the mud, like through bad experiences. So constantly, if I've ever offended anybody, I'll always go to that person and ask for forgiveness, or just every time I see someone, I don't want them to have to hide behind something. So to have that humbleness, and as an artist, when there's up and coming people, if I'm recording someone, and I usually ask them, like, why do you want to make music? Why do you want to record? And if their main goal is to be at the top and it's good to have aspirations, but be at the top. And my favorite was, I'm just trying to put Hawaii on the map. And I looked, I was like, well, it's right there. I see it right there.
Right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, but people who are starting, there's always going to be someone better. I just subscribed to this guitar website that's teaching me more guitar, so I've never stopped learning. I think when you have that wonder and awe of, oh, there's more, then you just got to constantly be grounded and be known for that. I feel like that helps with the longevity of an artist. Yeah.
You're definitely known for that.
Yeah.
Like, very humble, even-tempered. Yeah, that's what I'm going to run with that. But like Imua, there's no like, I've never seen Imua get mad. He's always happy, in a good mood, and just always a nice energy to be around. Yeah.
It's a good thing to be as a producer too.
And then it helps put the artist at ease too, because if you're a punk when you're recording, you're like, you suck. Let's do it again. They're not gonna want to record. So here's your coffee. Here's your tea. You ready to do?
Oh, is that why you give me all that stuff? Now I know when I go in the studio and he gives me a whole pot of tea, I'm like, oh, I don't sound good.
No, it's making the artist comfortable, because it's a vulnerable thing to sing in front of somebody, especially if there's other people in the room. But to sing something that's like you're really giving emotions and you might cry, it's a special thing that you want to maintain, and the vibe of the studio and the relationships that you have. I think that's how you create better records too, is there's like friends hanging out and we're just singing, and we're gonna push record while we're doing it. Yeah.
I guess in the spirit of that recreation process, do you guys want to play the first track, Recreation?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Recreation.
Thank you guys for coming. Oh wait, real quick before we leave. I just wanted to thank you guys all for coming out here tonight. This is kind of like, in a way, my CD release party. I didn't want to have like a CD release party where everyone's raging and getting drunk and not even listening to my music. I wanted to have a moment where I could sit down and honor the time that I spent with Imua recording this and creating all of this, not just with Imua, but with some of my best friends helped me with this album. And some of these songs took me over 15 years to write, and they are very, very much a part of me. And so I didn't want to do a normal like CD release party. So this is kind of the CD release party. And I want to thank you guys for sharing this space with me and helping me honor my creations and helping me honor Imua and Zeo Music as well. So in the spirit of all of that, we have these USB drives here off to the side that we can hand out to you guys later. It's got the a PDF of the album booklet that we're handing out. We're gonna be selling physical copies on the 1st of November for First Friday, and so the booklet has like lyrics and my thank yous, and as well as all of Kim's artwork that she did for the album. And then it also has I went and did a podcast with Evan Kay, and he helped me record track by track, just diving deep into the song and kind of talking about the creative process of the song, what it took to write it, and just the life of it. So if you guys can show me that you either bought the album or you follow me on Spotify or Instagram, I'll give you a free USB after. But yeah, cool. Thank you guys again.
And what is your Spotify and Instagram?
Oh, sorry. My Spotify, is Izik, I-Z-I-K. And then my Instagram is I-Z-I-K, famous, because I'm trying to manifest some stuff, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyways, this song's called Recreation. This song was a song that was on my first album, Obsidian. And I loved the way that it sounded on the first album, but when we started doing live shows, I wanted to give it new mana and new life, because it was very important to me. It's the simultaneous telling of two stories, the story of what's happening right now in Mauna Kea, and it also tells about why that mountain is so important to us, and it speaks about Pele and her ohana coming from Kahiki to Hawaii, going so far for life. So it was interesting to hear Eric's interpretation of the song, because it was, people do think it's a love song, and I think that I put it in under the guise of a love song so that you're able to consume it a little easier, as opposed to just like ku'e song, So I wanted to make it something that sounded beautiful and kind of trick you into eating it, so that when you find out what it's about, I kind of got my message inside of you already without you even knowing. So anyways, here's that song.
Something in your veins, something in my soul, something in your eyes, a fire that ignites my bones, sets my world ablaze, a heat that we can hold, something in your touch that makes me lose my self-control, makes me run wild, makes me lose my self-control. Oh, makes me wanna run wild. And we could hold hands and make a way up to the sun. We could breathe deep while we wait for strength to run. Never slow down. No, no, never slow down. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. You and I went so far, so far for life. Oh, I need you to draw closer to me. You and I went so far for life. Oh, I need you to draw closer to me, to me. Oh, I need you to draw closer to me. Illuminate the sky, elevate our minds. The wings we make from ash and dust will fly our spirits high. Sets my world ablaze, a heat that we can hold. Something in your touch that makes me lose my self-control. Oh, makes me run wild, makes me lose my self-control, makes me wanna run wild. And we could hold hands way up to the sun. We could breathe deep while we wait for strength to run. We'll never slow down. No, no, we never slow down. Yeah, you and I went so far for life. Oh, I need you to draw closer to me. You and I went so far for life. Oh, I need you to draw closer to me, to me.
Thank you guys again for coming. One nice round of applause for Imua Garza, everybody.
Thank you.
Mahalo to the Hawai'i State Art Museum for having us. Ali, I love you. And also, real quick shout out to our boy Nick over here for running sound. I was a diva a little earlier, so please give him a nice round of applause. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, guys.
Thanks to Eric. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, Eric. Love you. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Izik and Imua Garza. And Bougainvillea is streaming now and available on all your streaming sites. Make sure to let them know. You can pick up the USB to find out more about the music.